The Zone.
So I have two-thirds of Nomeansno with me here. I've got John Wright and Tom Holliston. Hi guys, how you doing?
Fine. How are you, Jason?
Very good. Thank you for joining me. I've talked to both of you on the phone before, so this is a real treat to actually get to see you in person and all that stuff. Today's the day. You're getting this big award. How does it feel?
Bizarre.
Yeah.
No, it's very flattering and gratifying for sure. It was certainly unexpected.
Right. Have you guys been lauded before with awards? I mean, this is a new experience, kind of, isn't
This
it?
is completely a new experience for me. I don't.
I got an award in grade 10.
Yeah.
For what?
It was the music award.
Oh, very good. Well, there you go.
And citizenship award, I think.
Nice. Yeah. So, I mean, is this kind of a big deal for you, or are you trying to take it in stride, or is it I mean, being flattered is great, but I mean, is it bring up any emotions as far as wow, I guess we really do mean something?
Well, I think it's almost feel like it's kind of an anomalous position in the sense that to be cited and being offered any type of recognition with virtually no major airplay is great.
Mm-hmm.
It shows to me that there's people who can get ahead and do stuff they set out to do with whichever road they choose to take, but they can remain true to their own vision.
Absolutely.
And that's.
I think that's a sort. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it's going to be odd that to be inducted into a Hall of Fame when probably half the people in the audience don't know who we are.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
That's the best part. Well, it's true, and I think that is so cool about Nomeansno. I mean, there's many cool things about Nomeansno, but is the fact that you've gone this long and treaded this path, and the people that know about you love you. The fans of Nomeansno are real passionate fans, right?
Hardcore fans. Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's still a population of people that are like, who the hell's that? Never even heard of them.
Yeah, well, because most people digest their music through media and what's on. Well, what used to be on the radio. I imagine the radio is still pretty strong in that respect, but certainly social media, of course, YouTube and all this. My kids, the only thing they know about music is what they see on YouTube.
Right.
And since we never were really much of a part of that world, it was those people that came and saw us playing live that sort of knew who we were, and we would do the best we can with our shows, and you impress people with your live show, and it leaves an impression, and they come back again, and so year after year we'd see the same faces, but it grew. It was probably at its peak. Between 1989, 90 to 94, 95, 96 maybe, really was sort of when we were drawing our largest crowds. But still, even today, we still get good crowds, and it's those hardcore fans. But the peripheral, just the people who are digesting music in a normal way we just don't cross their laptop.
Well, once in a blue moon, a few years ago, we played a festival in Austin, Texas, and they put us up at this swank hotel, mainly because one of the guys working at the festival was a really big fan who booked Emos, which is a good club. Okay. And I ran into a guy in the elevator and said, "Oh, you're in that band. I had no idea who you were." Absolutely no, that was the best. That was so good. And I thought that was very, very flattering in the sense that someone came without any preconceptions, and they just and it's somebody was like, "I don't know who that is, or I've never heard of that before. I really like it, and the music stands on it, or the performance stands on its own merit." And there was nothing hyped. I felt really good about that.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you guys have always been. Your live show is really your cornerstone of everything.
Yeah,
right?
Really. Essentially, we're a live band. We're a touring live band. Our records, we made a lot of records, didn't sell a lot of records, and didn't promote ourselves in that respect. It was definitely a touring act.
You were talking about sort of the peak being 89, early 90s, around there. A lot of people who do know about you guys consider Wrong to be kind of your Sgt. Pepper's or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
well, it was our most successful album for sure, because it hit at that time.
Yeah.
When we had garnered this audience, and that type of music we were playing was hip, and Nirvana was the flower on the that blossomed. You know what I mean? It's like they came out of the same scene, but they hit it big, right? And but we were part of that, what was going on, and in Europe especially, and really it was because of Europe. That there was, what am I trying to say? there was a real scene, a really cohesive scene of people, and like our first tour in 1988 in Europe was all squats. It was all squatted shows, and really many tours after that, the same thing. More and more legitimate clubs started coming into the circuit for us, but and these people were all connected, and they were all connected by cassette tapes or by letters. This is really before email, but it was connected by this what came out of the punk rock of the late 70s and early 80s became very political in some realms, and especially in Europe it was very political. It was not just music but social activism. Not that we were really part of that in a sense. We were just musicians, guys from Canada going over and playing, but we were part of what everyone wanted to hear. And we put on a good show, and our music was not the same as everyone else's. So we were sort of just caught a perfect wave, really. And then Wrong came out and sort of epitomized the sound that we were producing at the time to our largest audience that we had had to date. And so I don't think Wrong is our best album, but it's by far the most popular.
So what do you think is No Means No's best album?
They're all my children. I don't know. I really like Why Did They Call Me Mr. Happy? I just like the way that whole album came together.
Now, was that just you and Rob, or was that the first album that you were on?
No, I came to the studio one day and they were arguing, so I left.
Was it Worldhood was the first record that you played on?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And I just picked that one because I just picked that one. There's really we approach every album the same way, and that's you want to do the best you can, and you want it to be the best you've done. So I think there's things I would change about the albums. Certainly, I go, oh, we could have done that better, or the song order, or the something. You're always criticizing yourself, but in the end, I'm not unhappy with anything that we've done. Proud of it all.
As you should be. But I want to ask you what your favorite album is. No Means No album.
I'd say Mr. Happy, and I think Mr. Happy or side 2 of Sex Mad.
Yeah.
And just those 4 songs are just perfect together. Or
well, you have a different perspective because you listened to the band before you
were in the band, right?
Favorite I think I really like Dance of the Headless Bourgeoisie. I was listening to that the other day. There's a couple of songs I don't like.
Yeah.
But one in particular I don't like, but that was because it was impossible to play. It was written on the piano in the key of C.
Oh no!
Yeah.
What song is that?
Lifelike.
Lifelike.
Oh, yeah.
I just like that song.
Yeah.
Now I know how. Now I would know how to play it because I know more guitar tunings than I did then, and I could just like do
exactly.
a dad.
I love Dance of the Headless Bourgeoisie. It was a great record. Give Me the Push and all that. It's just amazing. Yeah. Okay, I thought this is kind of maybe a bit cheesy, but I thought I would name some people or things, and then I want to hear you just explain where they fit into the No Means No story, if you know what I mean. So DOA.
DOA, first punk rock band I ever saw live at the Commons Ballroom at UVic, where I eventually worked for 3 or 4 years. Great time. I got nothing but good things to say about University of Victoria Commons Block Dining Room. It funded many a party for me. Robbie had bought their single 13 and The Prisoner, and he'd already been listening to a lot of the English punk rock, the Sex Pistols, Ramones, and I kind of I like a little of this, a little of that. I didn't really have much of an opinion about it. But I kind of like that song 13. That was a cool song. So, and Rob was like, hey, they're playing at the university. Let's go. And I was like, okay. Was that 78, I think? And it was just like, it was DOA versus the rugby team.
Oh, yeah.
That was it. That was the whole show. And I'd never seen a drummer, Chuck Biscuits was dry. I'd never seen a drummer play that fast in my life. And it was just like, holy shit. And I was hooked.
Very cool. Scott Henderson. Or do you want to talk about DOA?
Who?
DOA.
Oh, Scott Harold Henderson?
Yeah, let's talk about Scott Henderson.
Well, he's not here right now. He's on vacation in Wales with his wife Hermione. But hello, Scott. He's I think for me, we were talking about if we had time to thank anybody, and he would be on everybody's list. You know, going back to when he had Richards Records in Victoria in 1978, 79, especially, you no longer had to go over to Vancouver to go to Quintessence Records to find stuff you'd never heard of before, and that was huge. I can't say enough like how he's influenced people, music. You know, a lot of people who don't know who he is, well, you know, he's left his mark on so much. You know, so
and how
much
many,
DIY.
several hundred bands he's recorded.
Yeah.
And
He's produced like
Yeah.
a huge amount of music,
And
right?
his knowledge of music is exceptional. I remember once I was with my brother Robert, who's a classical pianist, and we were talking, and he knew Scott. You know, there was Scott with his Latvia hat on, his North Stars jacket, and then somebody from the symphony came up, and it's like, "Oh, you asked Scott here." Well, you know, and just immediately,
That was
and
perfect,
within
by the way.
3 minutes, the guy from the symphony was like, "Well, now, do you have a recording of that Stravinsky?" Well, of course, I've got the mono. You know, so his knowledge, and I was at his house once, and when we were recording a showbiz song, there was some sax sound, and he just said, "Yeah, just down there on the floor, about 2 minutes through the third song on side 2. Is that what sound you?" I mean, there's no bullshit about it. He really knows and loves all kinds of music, you know, for music's sake. So
Yeah, I mean, he's an incredible collector, but he actually listens to everything.
Yeah.
Right. He doesn't
And
just
knows
have
it.
it. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
just having it.
And he produced
And his Sea of
Mama,
Shit
right?
Studios is very aptly named, if you've ever been into any one of his studios.
Yeah, is that right? Yes. Bit of a mess.
Oh, God.
Jello Biafra.
Jello Biafra.
Hello.
Oh. Oh, well, I mean, again, is another one definitely on our thank list because, I mean, he's the reason why we got out of Victoria and got out touring. And well, he didn't get us out there. We actually were able to get onto Alternative Tentacles because Laurie Mercer, our new manager, managed to book us a tour all through the States and Canada for 2.5 months. Never played a Saturday or a Friday night, but one of the shows was playing with Victim's Family and who were associated with Ruth Schwartz. What was her record label at the time?
Oh, was she involved in Mordam or something?
Mordam, yeah, Mordam Records that became a distributor, and Ruth Schwartz and Debbie Gordon was managing AT at the time. They came down the show because they were friends of Victim's Family, and they all loved the show, and they're like, and we had sent Jello Sex Mad, and he was like, meh, it wasn't really his thing, but I said, well, you got to go and see them. So they dragged him down to see us because we played a couple shows in the Bay Area.
Right.
And yeah, he was blown away and said, this is great. And we already had this record, Sex Mad, made with Psyche Records in Montreal.
Right.
It was all done and ready to go. And Ruth says, ready to go, let's do it. So yeah, and that was when we started with Alternative Tentacles. That was '86, and he another big music aficionado in his own way, but also it's just about the music with him. I mean, it's about the music. He was like hands off entirely. I like you guys, just do what you do, and we'll put it out. And he's just that way. I like this band. I want to put them out. They need to be heard. And so he, in his own way, was hugely influential in the West Coast, certainly the West Coast hardcore scene. And he's of course he's very political, so he's really highly respected. So for us, it was just that was we now had now we had structure to work on.
Almost like a face, in the sense that in the late 70s, early 80s, people would buy stuff that was on record labels.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Everybody who came to see our shows in 1988 in Europe came because we were on AT.
Right.
Jello must have liked them, so we're going.
So we're gonna go.
And there was a lot of this. Expecting hardcore or something, right? But yeah, we owe a ton to all the support we got from Alternative Tentacles.
So tonight at this awards show, you're doing like an unplugged thing. And
Yeah.
This is interesting. I was trying to think if you guys have ever done that before, and you have. The only thing I could think of was you do have an a cappella Dead Kennedys cover on.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
one of your
which
albums.
we never did live. No.
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 So this will be interesting. Is it?
Yeah, it was just really logistics. My brother's in Burnaby. Tom and I live up in London now. My brother's just busy with his kids, and he can't. We just don't have any available time to get together and practice.
Right.
And also with a situation like this with bands on and off, we're too picky about what we need on stage, and
Right.
we're too fucking loud for everybody. Turn the fuck down.
Yeah.
And it just turns into, it's just tiresome.
Yeah, yeah.
You just want to do what you do, but it's hard to do it in this kind of environment. So to me, it was like, well, fuck it. Let's just don't bother with the big loud show. We're only going to play a couple songs anyway.
Yeah.
We'll just do it unplugged. Robbie will sing, and Tom's on the acoustic guitar, and
Okay.
I'm going to sort of play the piano, kind of.
That's just what I've been doing with the guitar for the last 20 years, John.
And then it's simple. We don't, we can go on, and it's just everything will run smoothly, and we'll do what we do, and that'll be that.
Well, I want to talk about the robots.
Ah, yes,
Yeah.
the robots. Subsequently, since No Means No, we haven't played a show since June of 2013 was the last show we played. The Owlfest in Frankfurt, Germany. I got contacted by this fella in Germany. He's an Englishman, but he lived in Berlin. And he had this robot. He had built a drummer, a four-arm drummer, and had gotten together with this fellow who had built a guitar player, 72-fingered guitar player. And they had sort of gotten together, to make a long story short, programmed a few covers to play with each other. And one of them was the Ace of Spades. And they just put it up on YouTube just off their camera, and it was one of these viral things. It went. Lemmy commented on it, and it was like 1.5 million hits or something.
Oh, really? Wow.
So suddenly they're getting calls from everybody. Who are you? What are you doing? You want to come and play our party? And a friend of theirs, who was also kind of a crazy engineering type, lives in Australia, and his wife worked for the Big Day Out, and the owner of the Big Day Out, which is a huge festival in Australia.
Right.
He's a very, very wealthy man, and he thought, oh, this is totally cool. You be a band, and I'll bring you over and you play. So well, we need a bass player. So he ended up loaning the money to this guy in Miles. I don't remember his last name off the top of my head. And he built the bass player who plays a Fender P. And so they put together a band, and they just programmed to play covers. And they get up on stage and play the covers, and they have group, crowd karaoke, and then they ended up playing all sorts of crazy shows, getting calls. I mean, there's all these robot geeks in the world, not even music fans. They're just like, this is totally cool. And then after all this kind of developed over several years, that's when he says, well, we got to make a singer and be a band. And they're huge Hanson Brothers and No Means No fans, especially the Hanson Brothers, and they contacted me saying, would you be interested in writing us an album of original music? We want it to be kind of like the Hanson Brothers or Ramonesy. And at first it was like, oh, okay. And so I wrote a few songs, and they were like, oh, this is great. And next thing you know, there was some money in my bank account, and I went, well, this is for real.
Yeah, wow.
These guys really mean it. And then, so now I've been working with them ever since. And it's me, the Englishman, Frank from Coventry, Stock, a Dutchman, and Miles, an Australian, and Marcus, the guitar engineer, is from southern Germany. So it's kind of a international crew but they're all super nice guys. So the idea is, of course, we're going to record an album, and the robots play everything. So I think you'll probably end up seeing a teaser somewhere down the road. Melanie's has got something, and the sound you hear, it's crappy as it is them playing. And crappy, I mean, it's just off the camera, right?
Right.
We haven't recorded anything. It's them playing, and they play everything.
It's
And
like game changing.
well, it's just fun. It's totally cool. So they're building the guitar, the singer, and I will be the voice of the lead singer.
Okay.
They're building a second guitar player, and who will also be a singer. And the singing too. He's going to be broadcasting out of his head. Of course, it's going to be canned live, but it's actually he has to hold a mic, and if you're close to the stage, you'll hear him singing, and all the mouth move. It's just insane what they're doing with these robots.
I'm looking forward to seeing this. And you're still doing solo stuff as well? Do you have anything like recording plans, new albums?
Well, I'm going to do some shows in October, and I just came to the conclusion that I would just ask people, if anybody who comes to the shows can just record themselves, because I would like to make another. I'm going to go back and just make CDs, because I had stuff on TuneCore, which is now owned by Warner Chappell and everything.
Right.
Which kind of just like, it's. Anyway, if somebody wants to, I just think that's maybe the future, is just bring your device, record the show. There's the new album.
Yeah.
Because you're
even
not
just the phones these days can make it.
Yeah, there's no point in. I mean, even with Pro Tools, but there's no real point in spending $5,000 to $10,000 trying to make a record if people are just going to what's.
Yeah, it's tough. That's a tough thing. It's like it costs a lot of money. Still, I mean, not as much as it used to, but it still costs a lot of money. And you don't really recoup any of that.
No, it's rather frustrating in some sense, where you spend time in a recording studio trying to make the best quality you can make, and then somebody listens to it on their computer. So all that, well, I got to get the bass like this, and this,
There is a nice little studio in Powell River, though.
Yeah.
And
do you think this award and on all this, all this attention might inspire you guys to try to get some practicing done, maybe in recording?
Yeah, we'll see. It's not as though we've hung the hat up officially.
Right.
Robbie's, he's a young father, although he's 61 years old. So he's really focused on his kids, and we're still basically on a hiatus. And I'm busy with the robots for sure, and still writing lots of music though.
Cool. All right, we'll wrap it up, I guess.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it, and congratulations on the award. It's well deserved and very, very cool.
The Zone at 91.3.